In no country where I had been, whether Catholic or Protestant, had I ever heard of an instance where a Roman Catholic religion was under the ban of prescription, or of an instance where the clergyman was called upon to reveal the solemn and inviolable secrecy of sacramental confession. Until one New York City evening in 1813, when Father Anthony Coleman of the St. Peter's Catholic Church paid a visit to Mr. James Keating with a box of stolen jewels.
Father Coleman, to what do I owe this unexpected pleasure? I must say I am rather nervous to hear from a man in your position in such a random manner.
Mr. Keating, I have come into possession of some items and have been informed that perhaps they belong to you.
My, these were stolen. Where did you acquire my jewelry?
They were returned to me with good intention, as I return them to you now.
I see. What, may I ask, by whom? Father.
God bless you, Mr. Keating. I must be on my way.
God bless you.
James Keating.
Oh, yes.
Officer White. Glad to meet you.
You as well, officer.
What can I do for you?
Well, I would like to withdraw the burglary complaint I filed recently with all due respect. I hope I have not wasted too much of your valuable time.
May I ask why, Mr. Keating?
To be frank, sir, the jewels were returned to me with good intentions, and I plan on passing those intentions along now.
I see. Mr. Keating, you're going to need to tell me who returned those jewels to you.
I found them on my doorstep.
You just claimed they were returned to you with good intention. Mr. Keating, we can't have criminals taking and returning at their leisure now, can we?
I suppose not,
Who
but I...
returned the jewels, Mr. Keating? Mr. Keating, I am a patient man. But it is your duty as a citizen to help keep peace in the community. Now tell me, who was it?
The prosecution calls Reverend Anthony Coleman to the stand. In no country where I had been, and I've trotted across this globe, had I ever heard of an instance where a clergyman was called upon to reveal the inviolable secrecy of sacramental confession. In England, there was no case to be produced, nor even in Ireland, where the people were Catholic and the law anti-Catholic. Oh, I'm William Sampson, attorney for the witness, and this is my recollection of the Papal versus Phillips trial of 1813 in New York City Hall. It started as nothing more than a traditional trial of minor magnitude, only to become a social fabric, a question of religious tolerance and freedom in America.
Father Coleman.
I must beg to be indulged in repeating to the court the reasons which prevent me from giving any answer to the questions just proposed. Were I summoned to give evidence as a private individual and to testify from those ordinary sources of information from which the witnesses present have derived theirs, I should not for a moment hesitate, and should even deem it a duty of conscience to declare whatever knowledge I might have. But if called upon to testify in the quality of a minister of a sacrament in which my God himself has enjoined on me a perpetual and inviolable secrecy, I must declare to this honorable court that I must not answer any question that has a bearing upon the restitution in question. And that it would be my duty to prefer instantaneous death or any temporal misfortune rather than disclose the name of the penitent in question. For, were I to act otherwise, I should become a traitor to my church, to my sacred ministry, and to my God. In fine, I should render myself guilty of eternal damnation.
Reverend Coleman, isn't it true that Mr. Phillips gave you the stolen jewelry in exchange for his
Your Honor!
absolution?
Reverend Coleman, please proceed with your statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Lest this open and free declaration of my religious principles should be construed into the slightest disrespect of this honorable court, I must beg to leave again to be indulged in stating as briefly as possible the principles on which this line of conduct is founded. I shall do this with greater confidence as I am speaking before a wise and enlightened judge who, I am certain, is equally acquainted with the leading doctrines of the Catholic Church as he is with the spirit of our mild and liberal constitution. The question before the court is this: whether a Roman Catholic priest can, in any case, be justifiable in revealing the secrets of sacramental confession.
The question before the court is whether or not one Mr. Phillips acquired stolen jewels and delivered them to Reverend Coleman under the veil of sacramental confession, not Mayor Clinton, this is nothing more than a trial of petty theft, and we are walking a thin line as a man of your intelligence and stature
Mr.
is
Gardner.
sort of understand.
Please refer to me as Your Honor in open court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Father Coleman, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can a Roman Catholic priest in any case be justifiable in revealing the secret of sacramental confession? He cannot. The reason whereof must be obvious to everyone acquainted with the tenets of the Catholic Church respecting sacraments. The obligation of inviolable secrecy enjoined on the minister of the sacrament of penance is of divine institution. The same is true of the confession itself. It naturally flows from the very nature of the sacrament and is so essentially connected to it that it cannot subsist without it. If I say I should so far forget my sacred ministry and become so abandoned as to reveal directly or indirectly any part of what has been entrusted to me in the sacred tribunal of penance, the penalties to which I should thereby subject myself would be, first, I should forever degrade myself in the eye of the Catholic Church, and I hesitate not to say, in the eye of every man of sound principle. The world would justly esteem me as a base and unworthy wretch, guilty of the most heinous prevarication a priest can possibly perpetuate in breaking through the most sacred laws of his God, of nature, and of his church. Secondly, according to the canons of the Catholic Church, I should be divested of my sacerdotal character, replaced in the condition of a layman, and forever disabled from exercising any of the ecclesiastical functions. Thirdly, conformably to the same canons, I should deserve to be lodged in close confinement, shut up between four walls to do penance during the remainder of my life. And fourthly, agreeably to the dictates of my conscience, I should render myself guilty by such a disclosure of everlasting punishment in the life to come. Having thus briefly stated to this honorable court my reasons for not answering the questions of the district attorney in the present instance, I trust that they will not be found trivial and unsatisfactory.
Reverend Coleman, isn't it true that Mr. Phillips gave you the stolen jewels in exchange
Objection!
for absolution?
Sustained. Mr. Gardner, your focus is noted. However, the law either allows for this exemption or it does not. This discovery shall not be distorted by indirect means.
Your Honor, Mr. Riker and I stand ready as counsel to Father Coleman to argue the point for which there is no precedent. We respectfully ask that the court, with the consent of the parties, adjourn the jury for a time frame of your choosing to allow both parties time to hear the argument and receive an advised judgment on the topic of church versus state in this matter. Your Honor, the topic at hand is Mr. Phillips' acceptance of stolen goods, not the rights of the Catholic Church in the eyes of the United States judicial system.
I believe it in the best interest of the court to release the jurors and have them reconvene 1 week from now on Monday, June 14th. We shall proceed on the topic raised by Reverend Coleman on the morrow. Court is adjourned.